Hey dudes, this is Darlene Vogel, Spike in Back to the Future Part 2, and you're listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac on Splat from the Past. What's wrong, Tommy? You got no scrote?
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming one of the greatest movie villains of all time, particularly from 80s classics. And I am talking about the great Vernon Wells. You all know him as Bennett in Commando. You know him as Woz in Mad Max: The Road Warrior. And he also played a similar-looking biker in Weird Science. And he was Igo in Inner Space and so many great other movies and TV shows he's guest starred on. And I'm having him on the show today to talk about all that stuff. I met him 4 years ago at Southern Monsterpalooza, and he was such a great guy. Talked to him for quite a bit, and I can't wait to finally get him on the show. So yeah, here is my interview with Vernon Wells. Hey Vernon, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you.
Yeah, sorry I was a little bit late. My previous interview ran long.
Sorry, you've gone away.
Oh, so I said my previous interview ran long, so sorry I was a couple minutes late.
Oh, that's okay. I just texted you and said you're ringing because I was just wondering. I thought, hello, don't say we screwed it up again.
Yeah, I got it while I was dialing and stuff.
Oh, okay.
This is
no problems.
Yeah, this is such a great honor, sir. Thank you for taking the time today.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So, going back in time, I was reading that before acting, you were originally on the trajectory of playing music.
Yeah, I mean, acting was never anything that really intrigued me that much, to be serious. I was following, out of the 4 children that my mother had, 3 children, one's a foster brother. Mm-hmm. Nobody actually followed in what she did. She was a songwriter. She wrote songs for Australian country and western stuff, and she had a beautiful voice. And I kind of was the only one that followed in her footsteps. I started working in bands when I was a young teenager as a vocalist, and that to me seemed to be where I was going to stay. I was headed in that general direction.
Did you
put my own band together, which was a cover band, doing a lot of stuff, working a lot of places. Then I got very badly hurt in a car accident with the band vehicle. It was in the band vehicle, actually, trying to save 2 kids from getting crushed in the back of a car. I ended up being the one that got badly hurt. But neither here nor there. I couldn't work with the band for quite a few months while I was recovering. I had 3 fractures, like crushed vertebrae, basically, in my back. And it was a bit of a problem, and then I became a bit of a problem to our manager because I was always bitching about something. So he took my photograph around to all the modelling agencies looking to see if anybody would take me off his hands. Mm-hmm. And eventually one of the one of the agencies was looking for a guy to be the front for a series of cigarette commercials for a cigarette called Braddock. And I happened to get it. So I did the commercials, made money, and commercials, of course, never aired. It was a cigarette brand that never went on the market. But I got paid, and I realized I didn't have to pay anybody else except Bobby, our manager, so I had all the money myself. So I thought, oh, this is pretty cool, I'll do this. And I got a little bored with what I was doing, and the same people who had me doing the modelling took my stuff out to some of the television stations, because at that time, ABC, which is the Australian
affiliate
channel, was funded. No, it's actually funded by the government.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like a commercial channel. It's one that has particular types of programs. And they had all these really cool programs on. And I got work as an extra, so I became an extra, and that was really cool. I was getting paid to sit on my butt all day and not do much. And then eventually, directors started dragging me up to the front of the crowd scene to get me to say lines. I really didn't like it. I used to try to get out of it if I could. It just sort of became, a little more. What I loved was being behind the camera. I loved the idea of producing and directing it. It's just like, this is so cool. I loved it. And so I was fortunate that a gentleman that I worked with, a director, doing commercials and things occasionally, and mostly it was doing short films for companies about their products or something. Because I was always behind the camera when I worked with him, so one day he just asked me, what was my whole career project, and I went, I want to be you. And he went, oh, think you could be me? And I said, yeah, I think I could probably be better. And that was kind of not the smartest thing to say. And then I didn't hear from him for like, I don't know, 3 months or so, and I thought, well, I blew that one, that's not good. And his company rang me up and said, we'd like you to start work. Can you come in and see us tomorrow? And I went in and I said, what am I starting as? I said, he wants to put you on as his producer. And I said, what? And I said, yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have to learn how to be a producer, so you'll have to start in the film vault and work your way up. And that's what I did for about a year. I worked through all the departments, doing everything, from sweeping the floors to lighting to, you name it, camera, all the way up until finally I began producing commercials that he did. He did very big commercials, and I started as the associate producer, just helping the producer get everything together. I was producing them, and then he had me directing them. So then I left and opened my own production company to make commercials and things, and got asked to do a stage play called Hosanna, and I said, no, I'm not an actor, I'm a producer-director. And they insisted, and I left Australia to get away from it. I actually went on a cruise and became a cruise director, and just to get away from it. And that lasted for about 3 months until I got asked to leave the ship for doing things that were unbecoming to my job. So I kind of got shipped back to Australia, and they were still hounding me to do the stage play, so I did it. And that was kind of the start of my career. George Miller's girlfriend, Sandy Gore, saw me and suggested to George that he come look at me because I was perfect for a role in Road Warrior. And eventually George and I met, and from there it was serendipity, I guess. I did Road Warrior, and just went on from there. And 290-something films later, I'm still doing it.
Wow. Yeah, I had a car accident 5 years ago. When that happens to you, I mean, that makes you question your mortality, huh?
Oh, yeah. You know how big and tough you're not.
Yeah.
It kind of screwed me up really bad. Even now, even today, I mean, 100 years later, I'm still suffering from it because if I turn the wrong way or do something the wrong way, I get this agonizing pain in my back, and then for a couple of hours I'm walking down like I'm 700 years old.
Yeah, I mean Yeah, I mean the pain definitely stays with you forever, but it's character building.
Oh, totally. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. That's what they say. I'd like those assholes to have a car accident. Maybe they wouldn't say that.
Yeah, exactly. What was the Australian theater scene like?
It was interesting. I was in it for 2 plays. I did Hosanna, by Michelle Tremblay, the Canadian writer, and The Birthday Party, which was another classic, an English play.
Mm-hmm.
And I did those, and before that I'd done a couple of walk-on roles, with a spear or a sword or something in Shakespeare, and that was basically my whole experience in the theatre. But I do remember that I auditioned for the Melbourne Theatre Company at one stage, and back then, in those days, I was terribly, terribly nervous doing auditions because I had no faith in who or what I was. So getting me to stand up in front of people and audition was really hard, whereas if I was doing a film, because I had all the other components in it, or if I was doing a television show, having all those other components in it, I wasn't afraid. I had no worries. I would get up and do everything I was doing. But if it was just me, then I got tongue-tied and got everything wrong and couldn't remember the words, and, you name it, I was really just lost in what I was doing. But so the theatre was terrifying for me, and I went to do this audition for the Melbourne Theatre Company, and the gentleman in charge was a very nice man. And he had me stand in the middle of the stage under a spotlight, and he sat somewhere out in the audience area where it was no light, so I couldn't see him. And I started doing a monologue and got it wrong, and then started again and screwed it up. And then I got really terrified of what I was doing and couldn't do anything. And he sort of boomed out from the darkness and Mr. Wells, as long as God gives you the grace to have your ass point to the floor, you will never be an actor. Leave my stage immediately. And I did. And I thought, that's it. Done. Finished. Gone. Never, ever, ever again. And I just went back to directing and doing what I was doing, and I was happier. But then, of course, Joel Silver decided I had to come to America and do weird science.
Yeah.
And it all started to get, it's that old saying, you crawl out and they just drag you back in, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
So I got drug over here to do that, and I actually thought that was it, just doing that particular show, because he asked me to talk to the director of his next film, which was Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
He wasn't interested in having me in the film. He said, no, I don't know. It's too much of Wes, he's that character. No, it won't work. And, so I was like, that's cool. I'm going back to Australia anyway. So I flew home and I did a film back in Australia with, what was it? Her surname's Ward.
Rachel Ward?
Sorry?
Rachel Ward?
Rachel Ward. I did a film with Rachel Ward, and about a group of school kids and their teacher who were kidnapped in a school bus and buried alive. Not killed, they were just buried alive in this area so no one could find them. And how the kids managed to get out and they killed their captors. And I was one of the 4 kidnappers. So that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. And then once again, I was like, that's fun. I'll just go back to directing and do my thing now. And lo and behold, I got my butt dragged to America to do Commando.
Yeah, you really showed that guy, too.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. And then, of course, it was like one thing after another, Every time I went to go home, somebody wanted me to do a film. So I thought, this is silly. I might as well just stay here.
Yeah.
And there it goes. And that's basically what I did. And, did a lot of work, a lot of very good work, a lot of pretty bad work. And then I started actually doing really good work. And so it kind of was a circle. I got out of being who I was to being what I should be, and then things changed. And I went back to directing and producing, so I direct a lot now.
Yeah.
As well as act. So I've kind of come full circle, and I love what I do. I have a great time.
Yeah.
It's one of my passions.
Was it your idea for Wes's look?
No, I really didn't have anything. There was 2 things that I had a say in. One of them was the shoulder pads around my neck, because those shoulder pads virtually don't move, and they've got these plates in them. And when they sort of rub up against your neck, if you don't have anything there to shield it, it just starts to give you like a bad rope until eventually you start to bleed on your neck. So I was like, this is really bugging me. And the wardrobe mistress said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, can we put some fur or something in it, so that it's not just against. So they got some sheepskin and put that in, which worked. I mean, it was great. I did that, but then George thought that looked just a little bit au fait, we needed to do something about it. So she came up with the feathers, just giving me, because she knew that I loved Indians, and, my whole big thing was I wanted to play a Mohawk Indian. So virtually they kind of gave me that look, without sort of saying, here, we're going to make you look like this, with the feathers around the shoulder pads, with the mohawk, and with my eyes being pulled back just slightly with makeup. And then when I was wearing the makeup in the second half of the film, it was very much Indian and very much samurai. So I was like bad samurai, because I was dressed in black, and very sort of looking like an American Indian in a way. So I kind of got all my dreams there. And the other thing was, I wanted to leave the back of the costume open, and I refused. I was not going to show my ass on screen continuously, so they eventually relented and gave me the butt up, which is another Indian thing. So,
Yeah.
So I sort of that's the only thing that I had to say. And everything else, I got what I was given and told to sit down and be quiet. But it was kind of fun. I mean, the whole thing was the costuming. I mean, she did a brilliant job in the costuming, and which was huge amount of the character, and everything else just worked out. I mean, it all just came together.
Well, was Mel Gibson a nice guy?
Mel was great. I loved working with Mel. He was a total gentleman. He knew that that was my first film. I'd never done a film, so.
Yeah.
And I'd only done a couple of, like very small roles in television shows, but a lot of walk on the ship being an extra. So I was the newbie. I mean, I was as green as the grass. Well, we were in the desert, so I was as yellow as the sand. But Mel was a gentleman. I mean, he was helpful, played jokes on everybody continuously, kept everybody laughing, and was really fun to be around and great to work with.
That's good. Yeah. Because that was superstardom Mel, before, questionable things started happening, as we saw in the media.
Yeah, which I always look at that and go, the only trouble is we never get his side of the story.
Yeah, which is sad.
It's always one-sided. And I think we don't get his side of the story because he just doesn't want to talk about it. Just like, look, kill it, whatever you like, I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. And he has done a couple of silly things. I mean, let's be serious. If it was you or me, well, possibly I wouldn't get away with it, but you probably would. And normal people, if they did some of the things he's done, would probably get away with it. People would go, just stop being an asshole and get on with your life, sort of thing. But of course, it's Mel Gibson. Oh, look, we could get headlines out of this. Big story. Mel Gibson did. But that's one of the bad sides of being a celebrity is that you are under the microscope for every little thing you do, which at times just gets blown out of what it was. They take an anthill and they turn it into a mountain. And
exactly.
It's sad, but that's when we get into this business, that's one of the things we know is going to happen. That's what you have to accept. You can't be in this business and go, well, I'm not going to have anything ever happen. Nobody will ever say a thing about me. It just doesn't work like that. People always will find something that they didn't like or something that they want to talk about. Just have to accept it.
Certainly, yeah. So that party scene in Weird Science, that must have been just hilarious. A lot of laughs all day, huh?
It was interesting because that was really the first film I did in America.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't used to so much money. I mean, No Warrior was shot with $1.50 and change and mailing wire and stick. It was not a big budget film by anybody's imagination. It was a nice budget film, but it wasn't a big budget film by any imagination. I came over here and they were doing a big budget film. I mean, the first thing I saw was when I walked into the studio was a full-size 2-story house.
Mm-hmm.
It came apart in 4 parts so they could shoot all these things. And then we have a rocket. That's what they had, a rocket.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? I mean, I was just totally blown away continuously. It was like, dear God, this is insane. Not having come from that culture, I just, I was always walking out with my mouth open. People would always say, shut your mouth on the trip. I was always like amazed at what was going on, and that scene was just so much fun. As you said, all kind of laughs and doing it, having fun with it, and getting to work with a wonderful director, wonderful cast. I was in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that again was it. I went home after that, but unfortunately on the way to the airport, they got me to go to talk to Joe Dante about Steven Spielberg's film.
Oh, Inner Space?
Inner Space, which I got. And, Spielberg gave it to me and said he was going to take all of my acting ability away to see how good I was.
Mm-hmm.
And became
But
I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
All the tools we use, take them all away from him. Now let's see what he does. But I loved it. I loved that film. I loved the fun I had on it. I had a ball. It was just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there was a Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, there's a part.
Sorry.
I was gonna say there's a part in that movie where you punch Alan Blumenfeld in the back and steal his camera. I'm actually having Alan on the show on Wednesday.
Oh, good. Say hello for me.
I will. Yeah. I just thought that was a funny coincidence. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I mean, all that whole scene. It was funny that the scene with popping the balloon as I walk away with the clown.
Yeah.
Joe and I were talking, and Joe said, you're going to walk over here and go past the clown. And he said, you're such an ass. There's got to be something you can do. And I said, well, can you give me a pin and I'll pop the balloon? And he went, oh, that is so bad. Oh, my God. You are just so bad. It's like popping the balloon of a clown. That is low. And I went, yeah, can I do that? And he went, yep, love it. So that was a few things like that came up, and just were put in it that people would be talking. And there's a couple of scenes that were in the film that we shot that didn't go in the film, which was a shame.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved the whole. I thought the film was a wonderful film. It just came out at the wrong time.
Yeah.
People just couldn't accept what it was, and I think if it had come out 10 years later, it probably would have been a big hit.
Yeah.
And also now it's a little classic, everybody, when I do the conventions, people always talk to me about Weird Science and Inner Space.
Yeah.
Because they've both become these little classics. When they were made, they weren't,
Yeah.
Now they've become these little classics and everybody's like, oh man, you did Weird Science. It's such an amazing film. And it's funny because my partner in crime, Ryan Martin, was doing a film, which I was in.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in a room with all these millennial types, late 30s, late 20s, early 30s, mid-30s guys. And he was giving his presentation, and they were like, yeah. And so who's in it? And he told them, and they said, great, who are the leads? And he went, blah, blah, and Vernon Wells. And they'd gone yes to everybody, and they went, Vernon Wells? Who's Vernon Wells? He said, Road Warrior? And I went, no. Commando. No. And he's trying to think of something to ask him, and the guy at the end of the table went, wait a minute, Vernon Wells? You mean the guy out of Weird Science? And the whole table went, oh my God, you got the guy out of Weird Science? And Brian, seriously.
Yeah.
They recognized him from two of the greatest films that have ever been made.
Yeah,
they recognized him from that.
These kids today.
Yeah, it was very funny. That was what they went, oh my God, Weird Science, we love that movie. But you know what? If somebody likes something I do, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like just to have somebody like it is the main thing. So
yeah,
it's a fun business. It's every day is different when you're working, and I'm just so peeved about this shutting because I had 3-4 films to do, and I still do. If you go on my IMDb, I'm still attached to the 4 films that I'll be doing.
Yeah.
As soon as the lockdown stops, I'll be back working, which is kind of interesting. But people are still ringing me up and going, hey, dude, I got this film, can I send you a script? And if I say I like it, they get on to my manager and they talk, and then I get told, yeah, you're doing this film when the lockdown ends. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's insane right now. So Joel Silver, I mean, he liked working with you so much on Weird Science that he actually wanted you to play Matrix at Commando, right?
Yep. And no, he didn't want me to play Matrix. He wanted me to play the role I played.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was always going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, because when he was talking to me about the film, he said, I said, well, what's the film and who is it? He said, we're doing this film and it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I had no idea who Arnold Schwarzenegger was.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like I don't even know. And, bodybuilder, this, that, the other thing. And I went, what? And so I really had no clue. And the role he wanted for me was to be the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Arnold's, like Bennett, the role that I played. But the director wanted somebody else, and I hired that person, and through one thing or another, and I have no idea what, and I don't want to know. It's not my business. The person that was hired for that role ultimately was dismissed, or he left. Something happened, and Joel then stepped in and said, "We're going to use Vernon." He got me to fly over and do the film.
Wow. You don't hear stories like that anymore.
No. I mean, it's just ridiculous that I've been given these chances to do things. And, I always look at it and say, you God, I've got a blessed career. Like, people want me to do certain things, and you go, you God, like in a space.
Yeah.
Even Spielberg. And I run into Stephen all the time. Well, not so much now. Like, I don't run into anybody because I'm locked in a house.
Yeah.
But before I was locked in this goddamn house, I would see Stephen or his son or his wife at the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, hi, Stephen, hi, Ben. He would talk to me about Australia occasionally. And I mean, he's a very, very nice man. I think in my career to date, I've probably worked with 2 people that I wouldn't work with again. And I mean, that's pretty damn good from the amount of people I've worked with and associated with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've worked with a lot of giants, and yeah.
There's just 2 people that one was a director and one was an actor. And that was the rest of them. I love the people I work with. I have so much fun, they're great, and I guess I'm at that stage in my life and career where people tend to respect what I've done. So I do get a little, it's a little easier to be with some of these people because you're on their level in a way. I'm not big as they are, but I'm still on their level in a certain way, and so they don't kind of look down at you. They talk to you face to face, sort of thing, which I like. I prefer that. It's like I don't really like getting on a set where they say don't talk to the actor or lead because he doesn't like to talk to people if he's not working. But,
oh yeah.
Okay. Should I just go home now? That kind of thing I don't really go for. But I can't complain about anything. I've been incredibly lucky. I've worked with some wonderful directors, and I've done some amazing films. Stuart Gordon was, my wife called Stuart Uncle Stu.
Yeah.
That's how well we knew him. And he was just the most kind, gentle, and wonderful human being. I mean, he put me in the film that they shot over in Australia, Fortress.
Right.
He didn't have that role in the film. I did an audition for another role in the film, and it didn't work out. But in that audition, I actually, because Stuart used to let you get really rough with it. It was like he wanted to see what you did. And I accidentally pushed him a little hard and basically put him through the drywall on his office wall. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I was really upset and saying, I'm sorry. But he didn't have the role. But he was so impressed with what I'd done that he wrote that role into the film, which I thought was just wonderful. Mm-hmm. And then when we went to, he took me to Ireland to do the film that he shot over there, which I had so much fun with. That was just kind of out of control, but fun. So I've just been blessed with all of this, You get to meet wonderful people like Stuart, who was just this wonderful human being and really wonderful man to be around. And as a director, he was great. And of course, he hired all these wonderful people. So I was just, like living the life, as they say, living the life and loving the life I live. And I've just been, lucky boy. And I still am. I'm still getting offered. I still did. I've got something like 8 or 9 films that are coming out that I finished before this pandemic came up that are coming out. And I've got a couple of short films I did, which will be coming into the circuit. And they're already carrying on about one of them that I did that it's going to be an award winner because it's so good. I haven't seen it yet, but it'll be fun. All I know is that I spent 5 days up to my eyeballs in snow in Sweden.
Is it an action film?
Yeah, it's called Fear of the Woods. It's about a bear hunter and his brother and his son who set out to get this rewarding bear. It's set actually in Alaska, but they shot it in Sweden. And he sets out to track this bear, which is a very, very big bear. It's like 8.5, 9 feet tall. And eventually I find the bear, and the bear finds me. He actually finds my brother first and kills him. Excuse me. And then he finds me and rips off my leg. And, of course, he kills me and tries to kill my son, who manages to jump off a cliff into the river, which is iced because it's winter. And the bear won't follow him, of course, so he manages to escape. And we die. And it's actually the first 20 minutes of the feature film which will be made. They made it more as a proof of concept that they could actually make it, make all the parts work. And then when it was finished, they went, wow, this is so cool. We're going to make this a short and make it part of the film. So, that's coming out, and I have another one I shot in Australia, which is another proof of concept, which is 20 minutes long, but they spent 2 years doing the special effects, and now they're like, we're going to put this in the circuit. Like, oh, this looks great. So that'll be fun to watch, see that one as well. So I'm fortunate. I've got a lot of stuff coming out, and a lot of stuff that I've done. I did a film, SOS, which I also co-directed. Horror film, Ryan Martin and Eden Studios, which is the studio that we have up in Sacramento. I'm doing that's coming out. Gosh, there's all kinds of films. Landfall, I believe, is now available. It won some awards. Great little film. Jobless by Business, which I did with Tom Conkle, and I'll be doing another film with Tom. It's just, I'm just blessed with what I get. And I'm the first person to say I'm lucky. I'm just,
Yeah, you've made a career out of playing bad guys, but is it refreshing sometimes to play a nice guy?
I actually like playing the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different way. It took me a long time, actually. John Hughes got me involved in that when we did Jekyll and Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
He made me Jekyll's best friend, the other scientist in that thing. And so that was my first really good guy role in the film. And it started from there, and I was so afraid of doing it as a good guy because it's so easy to be the villain.
Mm-hmm.
It's not who you are, and there's none of who you are, unless you're an idiot or you're a psychopath or something.
Yeah.
But being the good guy, it's a lot of who you are. You have to use a lot of who you are to make the role work, and that always worried me. But now, 6, 8 years later, probably 10 years nearly now, I do both. I play villains and I play good guys. But I just love it. I've been asked to do a film called Jack the Nimble, which is about 4 old codgers in a retirement home and take on the devil, and 3 guys and a girl. And so that's a good guy role. And it'll be fun. It'll be actually a hoot to do it because it's such a good script and it's such an interesting premise.
Ah, nice.
So there's things coming along that I'm looking at, and I'll be, got Death at Sunrise, a Western to do.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you really quickly, when I met you in 2016 at Son of Monster Palooza, you told me you didn't have a particularly good experience making the shrimp on the Barbie.
Yeah, it wasn't that it wasn't such a good experience. It was just that I think if our star had been the director, it would have been a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm. If Cheech
the director, Cheech, the director actually took his name off the film.
Mm-hmm. Alan Smithy.
Yeah, Alan Smithy. So it was just not a good experience from that point of view. It wasn't that the people I was working with weren't a good experience. It was a little bit difficult at times with a couple of the girls because they were a little, they weren't hard to work with. It was just a difference of what we were doing. And I think I probably was more of an ass than I should have been at times. So I can't say that everybody else was a pain. I think I was a pain too. But it wasn't something that I would go, Shrimp on the Barbie was the worst thing I've ever done. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I just thought the direction could have been much better if Cheech had done it.
Yeah,
That's just me.
Yeah, I talked to the screenwriter Alan Shearman, and he told me, there was a little bit of friction behind the scenes on the movie and stuff. But I think it's hilarious. I think it's a really funny movie overall.
Yeah, it was just a fun little movie to do, and I've loved working in over there in New Zealand doing it. I thought that was great, and I got to do a couple of films in New Zealand. So as I said, I have fun when I'm working, and I try to put all the negative behind me and just look at the positive.
Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing to do.
You don't need to carry that with you because it's really not going to help you. But you can look at the positive and say it was a fun film. It ended up being a fun film, regardless. It was still a fun film.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what I think or don't think, it still worked out, and everybody was happy.
Turn negative into positive, absolutely.
Yep. So I always try to keep it as a positive and just go, I enjoyed it. Let's move on.
Yeah. Vernon, thank you so much for coming on today. This was really great. I hope after all this craziness ends, you get to make those other films, and hopefully the convention scene won't stay virtual.
Yeah, it will be nice when we get back to going out and actually doing it, because I have a lot of fun at the conventions. I love, you get to meet the people who like what you do. And let's be blunt,
Yeah.
We're only who we are because people like us, and they come to see us, and they download the film, or they go to the movie theater, or whatever they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we exist. If those people didn't like us, then we wouldn't exist because we wouldn't have a career. So, it's nice to be able to get out and thank them and go, hey, I really love you people because you make me who I am, and that is astounding. And that's why I love the conventions. I can get to touch and feel and be with people.
Very well said, sir. You have yourself a great day.
You too, my friend, and please be safe and be careful, and this will end.
I sure will. God bless.
Thank you, boy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Vernon Wells. Ain't he a cool dude? Just a very smart, intelligent, insightful man. Not at all like his on-screen characters. A philosopher, I would call him. He's definitely a philosopher, a gentleman, and a scholar, and I'm glad that I got to actually interview him finally today. It's just a wonderful experience. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.